Good, happy Friday morning, April 10, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Friday morning edition of Good Morning, New Hampshire. Rise and shine, everyone. Let's get this Friday off to a good start. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and watch some Good Morning, New Hampshire with Riley King. We have great stuff we're going to talk about today in Good Morning New Hampshire. We have a little bit of everything for all of you today. And also today is Good Friday. We will give you a history lesson on Good Friday. But first, we're going to begin with your news. Let's start off with the local news. In your local news, social distancing in New Hampshire may be working. Must be continued, health experts say. 3 more deaths related to COVID-19 reported. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
In America, we all count, and the 2020 census is how that promise is kept.
So many wonder when New Hampshire will see a drop in coronavirus cases. State epidemiologist Dr. Benjamin Chan says the predictive models are always changing.
We believe that there's a high likelihood for a potential peak in New Hampshire sometime within the next several weeks.
Today, Dr. Chan went through a slideshow of statistics showing the possible path of COVID-19 in the coming weeks. There are indications social distancing and the stay-at-home order could be making a difference.
Our New Hampshire strategy is showing some early signs of potentially having an impact on slowing the spread of COVID-19.
21 have now died in New Hampshire, with recent deaths connected to outbreaks in long-term care facilities.
So this is certainly a concerning trend that we're following closely.
Chan says the state is averaging about 400 tests a day, and hospitalizations are showing signs of leveling.
There will come a time where we will need to talk about relaxing social distancing, but that time is not now. If we relax our social distancing too quickly, we risk having the outbreak increase again.
It still remains to be seen how effective the mitigation efforts will be.
Where the curve ends, when it finally hits zero, we don't know. But until then, we all have to remain very vigilant in terms of our responsibility to ourselves and our family and the public health and safety.
These predictive models and numbers could change so quickly, so at the very least, all these restrictions will remain in place for weeks to come. Reporting live in Concord, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire for all of you, what you need to know. There are 819 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 465,689 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 21 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 127 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 16,548 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows where cases of COVID-19 are in cities and towns. In Nashua, 76 cases of COVID-19. And this graph shows new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. Near common symptoms: fever, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads and prevention tips. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into national news. In national news, coronavirus updates. IMF says economic fallout will be worse since Great Depression. The global novel coronavirus pandemic death toll is nearing 100,000 as more than 95,000 have now died from the disease. In New York State, over 160,000 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19, the disease caused by the new respiratory virus, according to data compiled by the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. New York has more than COVID-19 cases in any other state in the U.S. and every continent in the world. In the U.S., over 465,000 people have been diagnosed. Worldwide, more than 1.6 million people have been diagnosed since the virus emerged in China in December. The actual numbers are believed to be much higher due to testing shortages, many unreported cases, and suspicion that some governments are hiding the scope of their nation's outbreak. Today's biggest developments. FDA, FTC warn InfoWars. IMF anticipates economic fallout similar to the Great Depression. Global death toll nears 100,000. Michigan creates a task force to look at racial disparity. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network on the latest of your COVID-19 information and updates. Wuhan cautiously surges back to life after COVID-19. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Members of our team traveling to Wuhan, China tonight. That city now open, but with new rules and experimental technology allowing police to scan the crowd for body temperatures, looking for fevers. Here's our foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, tonight.
Tonight, a city on the mend, surging back to life. This time-lapse showing just how quickly morning traffic has returned to Wuhan streets. But this is a new normal, one that keeps watch everywhere. Local police boasting of new technology deployed, helmets with a video thermometer they claim allows officers to scan the temperatures of more than 100 airport passengers in just 2 minutes. It's not clear if this experimental tech is a practical tool. Our team travelling from Beijing to Wuhan, seeing life firsthand after the 76-day lockdown was lifted. Nervous residents still wearing protective gear. Travellers even being scolded for not wearing masks properly. And now new signs requiring passengers scan a health code which will allow some to travel on the subway. Even on the Yangtze River, security checkpoints scan the crowd's temperature, checking phone health codes before allowing them in to view their own city's light show. Wuhan's revival comes as the UK is facing several more weeks of lockdown. Amid breaking news tonight that Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved from intensive care and is in, quote, extremely good spirits.
David, the government says that the lockdown stays in place until Britain moves beyond the peak, but the chief scientific officer is now saying that could still be weeks away. So Britain's very much in the dark tonight, with no end in sight. David?
All right, Ian Pannell, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into business news. U.S. stock markets have a holiday today. They are closed because of Good Friday. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather and traffic. Let's begin with the weather first. Your weather right now is sunny, 33 degrees. And your weather for today, becoming windy with showers likely this afternoon, high 46 degrees. Winds west-northwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour. Chance of rain, 50%. Winds could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. And now let's take a look at that traffic for all of you. There are some slippery spots on the roadways today, so you might want to take it easy this early morning. In Henniker, you're seeing smooth sailing. Hopkinton, smooth sailing. Bow, Pembroke, and Concord, smooth sailing. Chichester, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Epsom, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Northwood, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Lee, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Durham, smooth sailing. Rochester, smooth sailing. Somersworth, smooth sailing. Dover, smooth sailing. Portsmouth, smooth sailing. Maine, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Rye, smooth sailing. Northampton, smooth sailing. Hampton, smooth sailing. Seabrook, smooth sailing into the border of Massachusetts. 101, smooth sailing, but there is an incident. Left lane block due to accident on New Hampshire 101 eastbound at exit 8 North Road. Manchester and Hooksett area, all smooth sailing. Manchester Airport, smooth sailing. Bedford, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Amherst, smooth sailing. And Milford, smooth sailing. Merrimack, smooth sailing. North Nashua, smooth sailing into the border of Massachusetts. Nashua, Milford, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Manchester, Londonderry, Windham, Salem into the border of Massachusetts, all smooth sailing. And that is a look at your traffic this morning. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into New Hampshire Life segment. And this morning in your New Hampshire Life segment, as COVID-19 impacts businesses, New Hampshire commercial fishermen turn to boat-to-table approach. Portsmouth fishermen use social media to drum up business. Let's take a listen to that video.
Why choose Century Roofing? You've met my team, the best in the business. Is a lifetime warranty good enough for you? And payment options, financing is available, and we accept all credit cards.
The rise of cases of COVID-19 has hit Andy Konchak hard. Right now, he and his captain, John Borden, can't sell lobster to their dealers.
With COVID happening and restaurants closing down and dealers aren't buying from us anymore, we just knew something had to change.
They're now trying the boat-to-table method. Andy's wife came up with a Facebook page called Fresh Lobster Portsmouth NH to see if people were interested.
People were just super excited, and it grew from there. I mean, comments came in within seconds.
The page has now become their ordering system where people can leave messages.
There's some positives that come from such a negative situation, I guess, if you try to look at it that way.
With the help of a group called New Hampshire Community Seafood, Andy was able to pull some permits in order to sell in a parking lot on Pierce Island.
There has to be like regulations with, not a lot of people there, and then keep your space because COVID-19, you have to be 6 to 8 feet away.
2 days this week, people came to pick up their orders. They've sold dozens of lobsters already.
People were just outside in the sun, I think, happy to get away, wearing their masks, wearing their gloves, and just asking questions and engaging with others. And it was really nice to see.
Andy says he knows of many other fishermen who are doing the same thing to help keep their business afloat for now.
I'm just hoping that China and the community can get back to, the way that we used to be, because this is not just us that's suffering, it's everybody. So I just, hope for the best.
Reporting in Portsmouth, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Great story there. And now time for a little history lesson. The history of Good Friday. Let's take a look at that video.
This Christian holiday commemorates the execution of Jesus Christ. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be learning more about Good Friday. Good Friday is a religious holiday observed annually by Christians to remember the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Its actual date varies from year to year, as it is based on when Jewish Passover takes place. As the date of Passover is dependent on the Jewish lunisolar calendar, Good Friday falls between March 20th and April 23rd each year. Easter, which celebrates Jesus Christ's resurrection following his crucifixion, always falls on the Sunday 2 days later. As written in the New Testament of the Bible, Jesus' Last Supper was a Passover meal which he shared with his apostles. This is when the washing of the feet took place and when Jesus first presented the Christian rite of the Eucharist, which is now practiced as the Holy Communion. Christians celebrate this day as Maundy or Holy Thursday. It is believed that Jesus was betrayed by his disciple Judas shortly after the Last Supper. Because of this, he was arrested by temple guards in the Garden of Gethsemane and crucified by Pontius Pilate over accusations that he claimed to be the Son of God. Though Christians now believe Jesus is the Son of God and their Messiah, the high priests and people of his time believed this was blasphemy that deserved a death sentence. Scholars have estimated that the crucifixion took place on a Friday in the year 33 AD, and Jesus remained on the cross from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The whole of his sentencing and suffering is known as the Passion of Christ. Good Friday is part of the 3 days in the Easter Triduum, which is a liturgical period that incorporates Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday. It is of particular importance in the Roman Catholic tradition. When it comes to food, Catholics will only consume 1 big meal and 2 small meals while refraining from meat. They also may perform prayers or acts of reparation, devotions to the Station of the Cross in the name of the Passion, and attend prayer services. On the other hand, a complete fast during all of this Holy and Great Friday is observed in the Eastern or Byzantine tradition. Meanwhile, a 3-hour service commemorating the Passion may be held in Anglican, Lutheran, and Eastern Orthodox churches. Many countries with a Christian background have made Good Friday a public holiday, with several highly Catholic countries holding Good Friday processions. Devotees sometimes travel to Rome to share in the Pope's prayers. The day after Good Friday is the last day of Holy Week, Holy Saturday. It marks the end of Lent, which is a time for fasting, self-denial, and the repentance of sins. It also symbolizes the period between Jesus' death, when Joseph of Arimathea wrapped his body and laid it to rest in a tomb, and his resurrection. It was only the next day, on Easter Sunday, that female visitors discovered his empty tomb and that he had risen from the dead. For more great historical videos, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Okay, and there you go on that video. And here is some healthy and lifestyle tip for you. Boost your immune system in the age of the coronavirus with these tips. Let's take a look.
And now we're going to talk about boosting your immunity, which is always important, especially right now. A new book, Life in the Fasting Lane, has some tips on ways you can rev up your body's ability to fight off viruses. Adrienne Banker joins us with the story. Good morning, Adrienne.
Hey, Michael. Good morning to you. I know they're talking about their puppies and spending time with pets, but I'm spending a lot more time around my refrigerator. This safer at home time meant a lot of us are eating more, maybe stress eating, and having more comfort food. But the authors of this new book say that fasting could be the ounce of prevention we all need right now.
I struggled with obesity my entire adult life.
46-year-old Eve Meyer started fasting 2 years ago, cutting out breakfast and snacks. And since then, she's lost 40 pounds and her prediabetes disappeared. But there was a surprise. She believes that fasting also improved her immune system. She says she used to get sick all the time.
Since discovering fasting, I have gotten sick twice in the past year, which has been really an incredible change for my life.
She says now even her allergies are gone. Could fasting, along with healthy eating habits, actually improve your immune system? Eve's new book, Life in the Fasting Lane, says yes. Fasting revs up an intracellular cleaning process called autophagy. Dr. Jason Fung is a co-author.
And autophagy is one of the first lines of defense against any virus. And what essentially it does is it goes around sort of cleaning out the sort of excess in the system. When you're not eating, your body wants to get rid of any extraneous cells.
So during autophagy, tiny structures called lysosomes, which break up old cells, attack viruses, break up their DNA, stop viral replication, and then play a role in presenting these viruses to the immune system so they can develop antibodies. Autophagy can be ramped up when you're fasting, and Dr. Fung says that by fasting regularly, you might be giving yourself some extra protection.
If you're trying to extend the longevity of your car, you don't keep running it all the time at high speeds. You actually want to run it less. So that's the idea. You want to eat less. So put yourself into this sort of repair and maintenance mode.
So what should fasting look like? It's whatever works for you as long as you check with your doctor first.
Your body will handle it. So whether you eat 3 meals a day with no snacks, you just need to make sure that you do have a period where you're not eating, just so that you can give your body a little bit of a break.
Eve says for her, it was just a matter of eating healthier and skipping breakfast and snacks.
At its simplest level, for me, my health improves, my mental clarity improves, and I am, quite frankly, less hungry.
Okay, so obviously the authors are saying very, very clearly that fasting is not a cure or a treatment for COVID-19, but you heard some of those benefits. And remember, if you do have any kind of pre-existing conditions, or if you don't, you want to check with your doctor before you start any fast. Amy?
Yeah, Adrienne, that is certainly good advice. I've been a faster for the past 2 years, never felt better, and now it's nice to know that maybe it's helping the immune system as well. Life in the Fasting Lane is out now.
Okay, and there you go. Good tips there. And now let's switch gears. Let's go into entertainment news. In entertainment news, Pink fights back tears talking about her experience with the coronavirus. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
Is the scariest thing I've ever been through in my whole life.
That's Pink opening up about her battle with the coronavirus during an emotional interview with Ellen DeGeneres on Thursday.
You can't help but watch the news every day, and I'm like, oh my God, like, wow, all the crazy stuff I did, like, this is it? Touch face? Like, this is the way it ends?
Pink explained that she and her 3-year-old son, Jameson, contracted the virus in mid-March. Jameson got sick first, but she was quick to follow.
At a certain point, maybe around March 18th, March 19th, March 20th, when his fever was staying and going up, I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe.
And what's extra scary is that Pink says she's had asthma her whole life.
I needed a nebulizer for the first time in 30 years. And I have this inhaler that I use, a rescue inhaler, and I couldn't function without it. And that's when I started to get really scared.
That's when Pink had to fight back tears, talking about her baby boy and his symptoms.
You know, at one point when he started throwing up and saying that he had chest pains and that it hurt to breathe, that's the point where you just kind of like, okay, are we going to the hospital? Like, what are we doing right now? Because this is the scariest thing I've ever been through in my whole life. So
the two eventually got better, and thankfully Pink's 8-year-old daughter Willow and her hubby Carrie Hart didn't get sick.
It's very controversial to people that I was able to get my hands on a test.
And Pink addressed all the people who were throwing shade at her because she was able to get tested when others can't.
I would say 2 things to that. I would say you should be angry that I can get a test and you can't. But being angry at me is not going to help anything. It's not going to solve the issue of the fact that you can't get your hands on a test. You should be angry about that. And we should work together to try and change that. And number 2, tell me anybody with a sick 3-year-old that if they could get their hands on a test wouldn't take it. And if they say that, I'm calling bull.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at those celebrity birthdays for today. And happy birthday to all of these celebrities. We hope they have a wonderful birthday and a wonderful day. And thank you for watching this Friday edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll be off air the rest of Friday and all weekend long as well. I will be back on Tuesday with more news coverage and more great stuff for all of you. Have a great rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Goodbye, everyone.